So one of the things you'll notice when you get into the Outgrow dashboard is you have to choose a content type that's most relevant for your use case. So when you go in, you'll see Numerical Calculator and you'll see examples. What is my solar ROI? Right? The output is a number. You can click Outcome Quiz and you'll see examples. Which jeans should you wear? Graded quiz. How well do you know the Lakers? Poll. Who will you vote for, Trump or Hillary? So you kind of get a glimpse of what each content type means and how it works. But I want to dive a bit deeper to make sure you're starting out with the right content type. And then I'll show you how to change content types if you figure out later on that maybe it's just easier for you to do an outcome quiz instead of a numerical calculator. So the most common options that people choose are numerical calculator or outcome quiz. Outcome quiz is chosen when your output is an outcome. So if I'm trying to, which jeans should you wear, right? Let's say, you can wear blue jeans or black jeans, just to keep it very simple. Those are the two outcomes. So I'm going to ask you a set of questions and then choose which plan or which jeans or which product is right for you based on those questions. So an outcome quiz is a good fit for that, especially if the mapping or the formula that's going to determine the outcome is straightforward, right? Based on, if someone answers option A, they're like blue, then blue jeans gets a point, right? If it's kind of like a simple type of math formula to determine which jeans to show at the end, outcome quiz is a great option to go with. But if you want to have an advanced recommendation or an ROI calculator or a tax calculator or something where there's more advanced math involved and you don't want it to just be a simple kind of linear addition between questions, then a numerical calculator is a better option to start with. I'm going to go into an outcome quiz, show you how it works, and then show you a numerical calculator, and then we'll go into the other two content types. So when you go into an outcome quiz, you'll notice this is a quiz telling you about which prank should you do for April Fools. And it's kind of a fun outcome quiz. When you click on the bottom left of the builder, so this is the build tab, you click on the bottom left outcomes, you'll see the outcomes that have been created for this outcome quiz. So one outcome is flour in a hairdryer, and that's outcome 2, and outcome 3 is put Reese's Pieces in a bowl of Skittles. Okay, so those are kind of two pranks. Now, the way to determine which outcome is shown at the end from these 7 outcomes is by going to a question, clicking on the question, and then for every option, you map outcomes. So if your friends think you're funny, then outcome 2, 4, and 6 should get 1 point. If they think you're annoying, then outcome 1 should get a point, etc. So if there was only one question, this was the only question in the quiz, and you were a user and you answered with option 2, annoying, then outcome 1, Play-Doh chewing gums, switch out chewing gum with Play-Doh, would be the outcome or prank that's recommended to you. So that's how it would work. So the math is just based on points. And then if there were 2 questions, it would sum up the points over those 2 questions. And if there's a tie, then it will just choose one at random. So this is kind of, as you can see, it's a very simple and straightforward type of quiz. I can easily remove this outcome and add a different one. Let's say I want to put, Couchman should get a point. Whatever I want it to be, I can easily add and remove outcomes. I just map them right here under map to an outcome, and then the outcome appears at the end. Now, if I wanted some more math and I wanted to make it very precise, then a numerical calculator is a better fit. So let's go into a numerical calculator here. And this is an example for, taxes. So, what type of commercial real estate are you investing in? Bank. So let's just assume, bank has a 35% tax rate. Hotel has a 25% tax rate, and office general has a 30% tax rate. In a numerical calculator, instead of mapping outcomes, I assign values to every option. So I'm saying, this option bank has a value of 35. And I'm using numbers here that then inform my result. So the question is, how do I create the formula, and what is the formula going to do with these numbers? Well, let's look at this. So the first question is, the bank, tax rate, hotel, office rental, etc. Then we have to look at the price of the property, and let's just assume you take the tax rate times the price of the property to get the actual tax. Now, the price of the property is a numeric only text input field. So you can look here, it's text input, but we made it numeric only because we want to apply a formula to it. So the min value is 0, max value, and then placeholder and prefix. In this case, I don't need to assign a value because you as a user are assigning a value to this question, and the value of this question 4 is going to be the value you input. Whereas in question 2, what type of commercial real estate you invest in, I had to assign a value because you're just going to select bank, and I need to know which value is associated with question 2, or bank, and that's what the number here tells me. So when I go to the result page, and I go to my result score, I can just easily create a formula that says Q2 over 100 times Q4, because Q2 is my tax rate divided by 100, so 35 divided by 100 times my purchase price gives me my taxes. It's a very simple scenario, but this just kind of helps showcase the difference between a numerical calculator versus an outcome quiz. And now, if you wanted to show an outcome instead of a number at the end, so this is R6, right? I could just show R6 here, and that's going to show a number. If I wanted to show an outcome and I wanted complex math, then I would toggle on this conditional message and say, if your taxes are between 0 and 100,000, then, and let's say it's telling you, should you hire an accountant? Yes, hire an accountant. No, don't hire an accountant. Okay, let's say that's the quiz you're trying to create. You originally tried an outcome quiz, but you wanted it to be really precise that people whose tax consequence is less than 100,000 shouldn't hire an accountant. In that case, you should actually use a numerical calculator because you need it to be precise and formulaic based on a formula. So then you would just come in, toggle on conditional message, 0 to 100,000, remove, it previously said R6 because this is result 6. I just backspace that out and say, no need for an accountant. And then I would come here and say your total tax is low enough that you don't need an accountant. And then I can come here and say if it's greater than 100,000, you need an accountant. Again, I just backspace the R6 and say you need an accountant. So from the user standpoint, they're still getting a recommendation. They don't see the numbers and any numbers. They just see you need an accountant or you don't need an accountant because you backspaced it out. But from your standpoint, you now are able to get a very precise answer that you wanted to give. So that kind of helps explain the difference between an outcome quiz and a numerical calculator. The next content type is a graded quiz. A graded quiz is when you want to test someone's knowledge of something, or you want to give someone feedback after every question. Okay, so let's go into a graded quiz example. Here we go. So the question is, which platform is ideal for the US market? In a graded quiz, all you do is you say which question is correct. So I just check, iOS is correct. And then I can say, I want to reveal the result to the user after they complete the question. So if they select iOS, it says correct. If it does not, they select another option, it says incorrect. And then I want to give them a personalized feedback message, if they're correct or not correct. So not just say correct or incorrect, but actually give them details. So in this case, you can say, if they're incorrect, tell them the correct answer is iOS, as the iPhone App Store revenue has exceeded other platforms in the US. Okay? Or you can write whatever you want here. And now the user, after they input the wrong answer, they'll see that right here. And if they input the right answer, they'll see correct as they go along. So that's the advantage of using a graded quiz is it's pretty straightforward. You just say is correct or not, feedback, message, and that's basically it. Once you get to the results page, you have this written out, your heading goes here, and then you say, your absolute score is over 9, and you got to score a rank of that. And that's basically telling you, say you got 4 out of 9, and you ranked, number 572 out of all the people who took this graded quiz. Okay? And then you have the option to, again, turn on conditional messaging and say, if your absolute score is 0 to 4, so basically less than 50%, tell them you can do better as this message. But if they're greater than 50%, then say good job. And so you can put the subheading here and you can see how it would look. So you can kind of tailor the graded quiz message there. But this is good for simple quizzes. And if you have a complex quiz with varying points for each question, you don't have to give feedback after every question. And the formula is going to be, the formula for scoring is a little more complicated than just, 9 correct out of 9 questions. Then again, you would go to a numerical calculator. But if you're just kind of doing a normal test or a normal quiz, knowledge test, etc., you can use this graded quiz example. All right, the last one is a poll. So when you come to a poll, you just have the questions, you can put icons, etc. And then we will, on the background, tally the response options that people are selecting and be able to show poll scores for each option. So you really don't have to do anything. You just come in to a poll, you put your options, and you publish. However, if you have multiple questions or if you want to kind of play with the results page, you can do certain things with a poll. So let's say someone comes on, they select the Democratic Party. Then they'll be able to see how that Democratic Party, how many other people selected Democratic Party. So you can just click Preview Poll and see how people are interacting with a certain experience. So I can click Let's Find Out. And then when I click Democratic Party, it shows me 20%. So it shows you how the poll works, right? And then it can take you to the results page. Now, when you go to the results page, you can tweak it based on what you want to highlight. So let's say you want to highlight the most selected option for Q1. And so you'll say like most selected option for Q1, and it's going to populate that specific option. And then you want to say what the score was. And so you say got this percent poll score. I can also do and the least selected option for, instead of question 1, for political party, make it more personalized. For political party, now I want to figure out which field, this variable field, because this field is going to vary based on which answer is the least selected at that time. So I just click Add Variable, and I scroll down and I look for least selected option for Q1. And then I say got, and then I look for the lowest poll score. All right, so the least selected option got this lowest poll score, and I'm personalizing my outcome page to give them a bit more information about the poll. Again, I can do conditional messaging and say, if the option you chose is less than 50%, or let's say less than 10%, then tell them, you're in the minority. If the option is, if over 40%, then you're in or over 50%, then you're in the majority, right? So you're aligned with most of the other people taking the same poll. And that's kind of how you would choose which option. I think the poll is pretty distinct from the other options because it's mainly used if you want people to know what other people are responding. And the other ones are mainly for you to assess their knowledge as an integrated quiz, or give them some sort of recommendation or outcome, or give them some sort of ROI or savings or math, payback period, etc. And so that's how you would segment options. And if you're ever confused, you can always click this chat on the bottom right and chat with us. Click New Conversation, and you can start typing your question. I'm trying to figure out which content type to choose. What do I do? I need help or whatever. And then you message us, and we'll be there to help you. The last thing I wanted to mention is what happens if you've chosen your content type and then you realize it's not the right content type. The way to do that is to click Display Settings here, which is the third sub-tab on the top right. It's a pencil icon. And then you click to switch the content type, and you can switch it from a poll to an outcome quiz or a calculator graded quiz. And this allows you to transfer everything you've already done in the poll to a different content type. And so you're not limited to just, you don't have to get frustrated after you've done it and then realize, actually, it might be better to do this as a calculator instead of a quiz, or as a quiz instead of a calculator. You just come in, you can easily make the switch. And when you do that, when you click switch, I recommend always clicking duplicate and switch. which will allow you to keep both versions and compare them. And that's the advantage of this feature, is that you always maintain both versions and no work gets lost. Okay, I hope this is helpful. Have a good one.